Murder Part 2. On December 1st, 1991, Omaima frantically knocked on her ex-boyfriend Jose's door and explained that her husband had attacked and raped her, forcing her to kill him in self-defense. She begged him to help her dispose of the body, promising him $75,000 and 2 motorcycles for his help. Jose calmed her down and told her to wait for him at her apartment. As soon as she left, Jose called the police. Trigger warning, the details I'm about to go into are very gruesome and brutal. When police arrived on the scene, they walked into what seemed like a nightmare. There were bags of organs in Bill's red Corvette, trash bags filled with pieces of limbs, blood on the bedroom mattress, and a skinned human torso hanging from some clothes hangers in the bathroom. Mama insisted to police that the human remains were the aftermath of a person Bill had killed and that he was away on a business trip in Florida. The story was quickly shot down when they found Bill's head in the freezer wrapped in aluminum foil. Neighbors had told police that they had been hearing Bill's garbage disposal grinding for days. Not only was Bill's head in the freezer, it had burns consistent with having been thrown in a vat of boiling oil. His hands were found in a fryer mixed with turkey bits. Mama told psychologists she had cooked Bill's ribs and dipped them in barbecue sauce. She said that nothing was sweeter than her husband's flesh. 100 pounds of Bill's corpse still remains unaccounted for.
This is why you should be super nosy with your friends. This is Michaela Bali, and she lived in Yorkton, Saskatchewan in Canada and was 16 at the time of her disappearance. Her friends told reporters that Michaela often talked about wanting to leave Saskatchewan and also about how some boy named Christopher was planning to come out and see her. The night before Michaela's disappearance, she texted one of her friends asking her to take her to the bank. She also texted her ex-boyfriend saying she was really unhappy and wanted to go to Regina for a couple of days. So on April 12, 2016, the day that Michaela disappeared, at 6:41 a.m., Michaela texted her friend again asking her to take her to the bank, but the bank didn't open till 9 a.m., so obviously that plan was a no-go. So at 8:10 a.m., Michaela's grandma dropped her off at the school, and Michaela would go inside, put her binder in a locker, and then walk right out the back door. This story gets crazy. Comment for part 2.
Hi, I'm Kim, and this is Death Row Inmates, Their Last Words and Last Meals. Robert Alton Harris shot and killed 2 teenage boys. On April 21st, 1992, he had his last meal, 2 large pizzas, a bucket of fried chicken, and ice cream. His last words were, "You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper." He was executed by gas chamber. Daryl Keith Rich killed 4 women and children, the oldest being 26 and the youngest being 11. On March 15, 2000, he declined a last meal, instead drinking tea, broth, and Gatorade. His last word was peace before being executed by lethal injection. Robert Lee Massey killed 1 male victim during a liquor store robbery while on parole for another murder he committed. On March 27, 2001, he ate his last meal consisting of 2 vanilla milkshakes, extra crispy french fries, extra crispy fried oysters, and soft drinks. His last words were forgiveness, giving up all hope for a better past. He was executed by lethal injection. Clarence Ray Allen murdered 2 males and 1 female. On January 17, 2006, he ate his last meal, buffalo steak, KFC, fried bread, pecan pie, black walnut ice cream, and whole milk. His last words were, "Hoka hey, it's a good day to die." He was executed by lethal injection.
Okay, Crime TikTok, let's talk about the brutal death of Lisa Marie. But before we start, I would like to say to please respect the lives of the people that are mentioned in this story.
Had this show aired today, it would have gained a lot of controversy, and when I was little, I was obsessed with it. Soon-to-be brides are placed in a mansion in order to compete in challenges and gain the perfect wedding. But what made the show stand out was that with every challenge that you won, you were able to get a plastic surgery. Competition was fierce as a perfect wedding was on the line, along with head-to-toe dream makeover. This sounds like a dream: live in a mansion, compete, and in hopes to get any surgery done. But what came after the show was anything but a dream. Lisa Marie was a well-liked character. Not only did she have a great personality, but she was also relatively insecure, which made her more relatable. Lisa Marie then pursued a master's degree in nursing. Lisa Marie would also volunteer to help a nursing student on the days that her husband was not home, and have meetings around 3 a.m. She also loved to party, but she never would have guessed this party would have been her last. Part 2 coming real soon.
Okay, Crime TikTok, this is part 2 to the horrendous murder of Lisa Marie, former reality TV show star of Bridoplasty.
On the night of her death, Lisa Marie attended a birthday party and was accompanied by her friend Rogers, the student she would give lessons at 3 a.m. Later that night, Lisa received an angry text from her husband. Because it was extremely late, she called him back in a happy tone and said she was just getting a bite to eat. The next day, she was nowhere to be found, and even her job didn't know her whereabouts. The family called LAPD, but told them they had to wait 72 hours. The family was quick to take action because they knew how crucial this was, and the first thing that they did was talk to Rogers. Once there, they took a picture of Rogers' ID in the back of his hands. Rogers said that Lisa left for the after party, but surveillance camera saw them leave together. Then they checked his car and saw that was extremely clean. They took Rogers in and that's where he confessed. While Lisa Marie was midway eating inside of Roger's car, Roger took a hammer and repeatedly hit her in the face, covered her in bleach, and buried her in his mom's backyard.
Hi, I'm Cam and this is 1 Minute Murder. In June of 2018, in Madison County, Alabama, officers found the body of 13-year-old Mariah Lopez. Shortly after this discovery, Mariah's grandmother was also reported missing. 8 days after Mariah's body was discovered, her grandmother, Aurelia Mendoza's remains were found 2 miles from Mariah's location. According to the Madison County Sheriff's Office investigator Stacey Rutherford, the murders were related to Mendoza's ties to the Sinaloa drug cartel. This is the drug cartel that El Chapo was in charge of before he was arrested. Days before the murders, Mendoza went with 3 others to pick up a shipment of methamphetamine in Georgia. However, the situation turned deadly when something went very wrong on the trip. An argument broke out between Mendoza and Palomino about the drug buy because he thought it was a setup. This led to Palomino stabbing Mendoza to death, and her granddaughter Mariah witnessed the entire thing. Because she was a witness, Palomino and Aguilar took Mariah to a secluded area. Palomino then moved his arm in a sawing motion, causing Aguilar to behead the little girl. Officers found blood in Palomino's car and a knife under both Palomino and Aguilar's mattresses. Both are being charged with capital murder.
Disturbing Serial Killer Quotes, Part 3. Joe Metheny. The words "I'm sorry" will never come out, for they would be a lie. I am more than willing to give up my life for what I have done, to have God judge me and send me to hell for eternity. Metheny killed up to 13 people, and he used their flesh for food he would make and sell at his burger stand.
Okay, paranormal and crime TikTok, let's talk about the story of La Pascualita. So recently I started watching Diabolic Lovers again. And honestly, it's a good show, but there was one scene that reminded me of this urban legend. That episode, Kanata was showing all of the past sacrificial brides that are made out of wax. The story goes, a mom and a daughter used to own a bridal shop called La Casa de Pascualita, and the mother's daughter had found love in a man that she did not approve of. Mysteriously, the daughter passed away from a spider bite the day of her wedding, and eerily enough, a wax doll that resembled the daughter was placed on display at the bridal shop. What disturbed the people from the town was the hyper-realistic details on the hands, but also the doll-like features on the display. Origins of the story have been debated over the years, as some believe it's true but others think it's just a tourist attraction, and since that time, the mannequin has been replaced by a new one.
26-year-old Alexis Sharkey and her husband Tom Sharkey moved to Houston, Texas in January of 2020. Alexis was active on social media and had significant followings on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. After spending Thanksgiving with friends, Alexis sent text messages to her friends on Friday, November 27th at around 6 p.m. That would be the last time they would hear from her. On Saturday, November 28th, after not being able to get a hold of her, friends went and knocked on her apartment door. After receiving no answer at the apartment, they filed a missing persons report. Tom called Alexis's mother, Stacy, to tell her that Alexis was missing and that he hadn't heard from her since Friday. Just prior to this, around 8 a.m. that same day, Public Works employees spotted feet in the bushes in the 1000 block of Red Haw near the Katy Freeway. The unclothed body of Alexis Sharkey was found with no visible wounds. Authorities believe her body had been there overnight. An autopsy is pending and the cause of death is unknown at this time.
If you see a woman walking down the street wearing a mask and she stops you and asks you, "Am I beautiful?" maybe stop and overthink what answer you will give. This is the urban legend of the slit-mouthed woman. The slit-mouthed woman is an urban legend commonly told in Japan. And it goes by, a woman walking down the street will stop you. She would mainly stop little children, but she could stop anybody. And she will ask, "Am I beautiful?" If the person were to say no, she would automatically grab her scissors and kill them. But if they said yes, she would take off her mask and ask, "Am I beautiful now?" If you say no, she'll kill you. But if you say yes, she will grab her scissors and give you the exact same scar that she has. It is said that the only way to actually survive her attacks is to respond with maybe. This will confuse the slit-mouthed woman and you may have a chance to run away. Stay tuned for more urban legends. What about you, Pepsi Cola? Would you have said something? He insulted me and told him I should draw him a face. Stay safe.
Hi, Hi, I'm Cam, and this is 1 Minute Murder. On Valentine's Day 1999, Julie's son snapped this photo of her mother and her friend in their room at the Cedar Lodge. This is the last photo of them taken alive. Next morning, a maintenance man knocked on their door claiming there had been a leak coming from their room that needed to be fixed immediately. Carl refused to let the man in multiple times, however his attempts to enter the room grew more and more serious. After he threatened to get the manager involved, she finally let him in to have a look. It was a simple mistake that sealed the fate of the mother and the 2 teenage girls. The maintenance man, later to be discovered as Carrie Stainer, bound and gagged the 3 women so they couldn't scream. Carol was taken to the bathroom, strangled, and then dragged to the trunk of her own rental car. He then ripped the clothes off of both girls and sexually tortured and assaulted them for hours, even forcing them to perform sexual acts on one another. Sylvania began to sob uncontrollably, ruining the fantasy that Stainer had created about the 2 teenage girls. This led to him strangling Sylvania as well and placing her in the trunk with Carol. He returned to the room and sexually assaulted Julie even more. After that, he took her to a point near Lake Don Pedro where he slashed her throat and threw her into a ditch. After the murders, a map showing where Julie's body was arrived at the FBI office in Modesto. Message read, "We had fun with this one." Stainer is now 59 and remains on death row in California.